Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I haven't uploaded for a while. It's just been really busy. So I wanted to come on here and talk a little bit about this pandemic that we're going through and how it relates to our mental health. I posted on my Instagram a while ago that I really encourage everybody that is seeing a therapist to go ahead and continue seeing their therapist, either virtually or through phone sessions and things like that. Now is really not a time to neglect our mental health, and it's really important that, especially in times like this, that we take care of ourselves, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally as well. So let's talk a little bit about our anxieties, because that's what's coming up for most people at a time like this. The fear of everything that's going on and how that can really increase our anxiety levels and just make us really frantic and not really know what to do. First thing I want to talk about is so like if you watched my previous videos, you know that our anxiety is a form of survival for us. It's a way that we survive. And if you remember, when we started hearing about the pandemic and this virus that's coming, or this virus that, had originated in Wuhan, China, we didn't really think about it, right? Or at least for me, it wasn't so scary. But once we started hearing about it coming into the US and it started spreading, and as we started hearing about the first few cases that have come into the US, that's when we started getting scared. That's when we started panicking. And then in effect, that's when we started taking the precautions. So that just goes back to my point of how anxiety helps us in certain situations. Now, with that being said, it's expected that we have this anxiety. It's very normal, and it's a needed response in some situations. But when it gets to be too much is when we need to kind of take handle of it and take control of it and manage it in a better way, right? So I hear a lot of people saying that they're stress eating and they're stress baking and they're, doing all these things to help cope with their stress. And, if it works for you, great. I don't know if overeating is a good idea, even though I'm guilty of that myself. But you want to use that stress to manage the situation. So, or the anxiety, actually. I'll talk about stress in a minute, but the anxiety that you're feeling, this kind of like fear that we're feeling, use it to do the right thing. Use it to channel it in the right direction so that it's not negatively impacting you and you're kind of utilizing it to your benefit. So, if you need to make sure that you're eating better because you want to take care of your health and you want to make sure that your immune system is supported, if you want to make sure that your space in your home is clean and sanitized, if you want to make sure that you're staying home, obviously, as in many cities it is now a requirement for us to stay home and be kind of quarantined or socially isolated. If you must it's a complete necessity that you have to go outside for whatever reason, then you make sure that you're staying 6 feet away and that you're taking all the precautions that we're being told to take in order to prevent us from getting this. And if you feel like listening to the news or getting in all this extra information about what's going on is stressing you out, then limit it. It's okay as long as you stay informed and you're following the things that you need to follow and you're getting the proper information that you need if, God forbid, somebody gets sick or if you get sick or something happens and you have to take the necessary precautions. As long as you have that information, that's all you really need, right? You don't have to listen to the news 24/7. You don't have to be, on social media following up with everybody. If it's too overwhelming for you and if it just increases your anxiety, then limit that. Some people like me, I'm the opposite. I like to have regular updates about what's going on, the cases, the numbers of death, things like that. That's how I control my anxiety, by constantly being updated and, knowing about what's going on. Whereas some of my friends and even my husband, they don't want to hear about it. They just want the basic, the very general information. What do I got to do? How do I stay safe? And that's it. So whatever works for you, whatever helps you manage your anxiety, do that. And I say that because if we stress ourselves out and we become too anxious, that can actually weaken our immune system, right? It's been proven that extreme stress does weaken our immune system, and now is not a time for us to weaken our immune systems, right? We got to get those immune systems strong and healthy. We need to be, as healthy as we can be to be able to get through this safely. So I also wanted to mention something because a lot of my friends are moms, and I'm a mom myself, and I have kids but my kids are always home because they're too young to be in school. But um, if you are a mom with kids at home, your kids will pick up on your stress and your anxiety. So if you're finding it like there's a lot of struggling and there's a lot of like tension in the home, your kids pick up on your anxiety. So that's another reason for you to get your anxiety under control, get it managed, change the way that you're thinking, think positively, you know, pay attention to the facts. The facts say that, this is the percentage of people that are getting it. This is the percentage of people that are recovering. This is what you can do to prevent it. And they have seen effects of these precautionary measures. They have seen that these are effective, and people, the cases do decrease if the people as a whole follow these precautions. So pay attention to the facts rather than allowing yourself to ruminate and let your thoughts just go wild and like you start thinking the worst of things. Pay attention to the facts, pay attention to what's going on in a positive light so that you're able to manage that anxiety. Because your kids will pick up on it. Your kids will pick up on the tension. They will pick up on the anxiety. Even, you might think that they're young and they don't understand, but they absolutely do. My daughter's only 2.5, and sometimes she'll look at me, and if I'm not smiling, and she'll say, "Mama, sad?" And she'll ask, "Are you sad? What's going on?" They pick up on it. So if you're having that struggle at home, check in with yourself first. Make sure your anxiety and your stress levels are calm and under control as much as possible. I know it's a difficult time for everybody, but as much as possible, and then hopefully your kids will be will fall in line with that, and you won't have as much struggles or as much problems with the kids. There's and I know, like, I think the whole country, all schools are shut down across the entire country, and people are homeschooling and things like that. Don't stress your kids out. I mean, I don't know, teachers might not agree with me, but don't stress your kids out with school right now. I feel like, do as much as you can. You don't want them to just be sitting in front of the TV or on an iPad or something, but try not to stress them out with school. This is already a stressful time for them as well, just as it is for us, but, get them to try to, have that connection with them. In other words, like, connect with them, let them feel comfortable, let them feel safe, let them feel that, everything's going to be okay. We're here. We love you. Give them that support and that love that they need, as do we need it too at a time like this. So, I also wanted to talk a little bit about like what happens after this is all over. This is one of the situations where we build resiliency, right? We're going to come out of this changed. We're going to come out of this different. We're going to, at the very least, by the next crisis or disaster that we experience within our lifetimes, we will at least be better prepared for it. Maybe we'll stock up on board games and things like that, but we will, we won't hoard toilet paper so much, because we'll know later on that that's not what helped. This is what helped, because we were stuck at home. I remember that when Sandy was going on, that's the last natural disaster that I remember, when we were stuck at home for, I don't really remember how long, but we were stuck at home for a few days, for a long period of time, and we couldn't do anything, right? And this time I was a little bit more prepared. I knew what I needed. I knew what I didn't need. I knew what would help me with the kids and with things like that. So it's going to help us for later on, for future things that come up. But we're definitely going to come out of this changed. We're going to reflect on ourselves. We're going to reflect on, I'm seeing on social media, a lot of people are questioning, like, why is this happening? What's going on? Is this a sign from God, or is this some kind of signal, or is this some kind of indication that I need to change or that I need to improve in a certain area and things like that? So it's really, it's going to change some people, and some people may just come out of it and be like, okay, whatever, that happened. But if you do change, take this time, reflect on yourselves, reflect on what you can improve, what you want to, maybe you just want to relax. I know I have friends that are saying that this is a great time for them to just relax because of the everyday struggle and everyday like grind that they're going through. This is a moment for them to actually spend time with their kids and enjoy their children, where they're not mandated to be at work, or they have to be at work, they have to bring in a salary and whatever. So use this time wisely, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Use this time wisely, and don't stress shop and go broke by the end of this. So last thing I wanted to mention is that I have a great friend. Her name is Sanat. She's an excellent therapist. Her and I actually work together, and we kind of talked about answering some of your questions together. We're gonna figure out how to possibly do it in a YouTube video or maybe in an Instagram live, depending on how we can figure out the technical stuff. But she's a great therapist. She has great experience working with trauma victims and things like that. If you have any questions, I'm going to have I'm going to put it up on my Instagram for any questions that you guys would want answered, and her and I can answer together. If you have questions for myself or for her, if you know her, you can also check out her Instagram page. I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head, but I will link it down below, and I'll link my Instagram as well. So ask us any questions, anything related to mental health. Obviously, we're not medical doctors. I just want to, put that out there. We are not medical doctors. We are mental health professionals, and we would gladly answer any questions that you may have related to mental health during this crisis, during this this pandemic. All right. I hope everybody is staying safe. I hope everybody is healthy and happy, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Thanks for watching.